Hi and welcome back to another video of jPlay. I am Marcus and sorry for not seeing me, but I really felt like doing a quick one-off episode of Tainted Grail, The Fall of Avalon. Depending on how things go, I might really start a proper campaign. But what you will be seeing today is me playing the open and play guide. I really don't know if that's any fun to watch. I went through this, I haven't played it, I went through this, so I read it. And I must confess, I also cheated a little bit, so I also read the full rules at least once. I'm not sure if I got a hold of everything, especially the combat may hold some surprises for me. I'm not quite sure if I understood everything, but I'm really now excited to really give this one a try here. It's on my shelf for quite some time. Originally, I got it to pretty much be the successor of our Gloomhaven campaign, which I am playing with a couple of friends for now really quite some time. And we are not playing that regularly, maybe twice a month or so. We are quite advanced into the campaign, but we are still not through yet. And then this Corona thing happened and everything slowed down. And so here we are. Me still haven't played Tainted Grail, and I'm right now not sure if I want to play this with my folks or not. That's the idea of this video here. I wanted to really give it a try, and you can watch over my shoulder more or less and see how things go. And depending of if you like what you're seeing, if I like what I'm playing, then I might really start playing the campaign here. I guess there is some replayability because there is some randomness in it. Of course, some storyline arcs or some surprises might be spoiled. But again, if I would play this with someone else, then I would simply shut up and don't spoil the experience for those guys. I'm really, personally, I really do not care about too much about spoilers. So I think with that being said, let's look at some of the components here. We have I think it's a menhir, and I think I already have placed it the wrong side up. So we should see this skull icon here, but again, it doesn't really matter. This is Beor, who you have to play in this open and play guide here. There's a nice little backstory on the back of this card, and those components, they're really all amazing, obviously. They tell you a little bit about those things. There are also some welcome letters for all of the heroes in there. In the base game, normally there's 4. I got a 5th one because, it's the Kickstarter. No surprises here. I will not do this reading here. I think I will do a little bit more reading if I really decide to play this game on camera. And then I will also let you decide how much you want to see or not. And that's pretty much already the setup. So this is what he's starting with. So we have some health, we have some energy, terror, we have some abilities here like courage, aggression, practicality, caution. They all work like pairs. So kind of when you do something here, it makes also the other side of this same pair here more difficult to advance, for example. But I think we may come to that. We have a special ability here on all of those characters. And I'm also not sure if I really like this character. So if I would play this game solo, I don't think I would go for Beor. Usually when I do play RPG like video games, for example, I'm usually not the tank. I'm more like the sneaky guy with a bow and arrow, for example. So maybe that wouldn't be my choice. But you have a choice when you really then start playing, because you have to reset anyway. The good thing about this open and play kind of experience, it doesn't spoil you anything. So if you really are just interested in seeing some of the mechanics, if you really haven't seen anything before, which I highly doubt, then that's definitely the one for you. You're not getting a lot of spoils because everything is really I think there are special cards here that are basically placed here. Maybe this first encounter could come up in your first playthrough, but doesn't really matter too much. We will basically not deal with any event cards. They come from this open and play guide, for example. So I think if you prefer this, then you are safe with me, and I think I will not spoil too much with my run through here. Apart from that, Beor is starting here and I would definitely butcher those names. Kurnak Farmhold. And yeah, basically we are trying to achieve something, and that's the good thing about this game. You really don't know what's going on because you will learn about some of those. So you will usually you will get some directions through those event cards from what I could tell. And again, there is an introductory story. I won't read it to you. In this exercise, we're really trying to learn this game. So I will learn the game and you will watch me learn the game. So yeah, let's see how things go. Usually in the normal play you would follow this order of the day, so we will start with the start of the day, then we do some actions during the day, and then we will deal with stuff by the end of the day. But again, this is also being taken care of by the open and play guide here. So basically what we are trying to do, we would remove now expired menhires. Not sure how they are pronounced. I really may need to do some digging here. And yeah, we only have one of those on the map right now. This has still a map, so it's not expired. That's what we're trying to say. And the next thing to do is to reduce the dial here down to 7. So in a solo player game, you always start with 8. And now basically the first thing that happens during the day is that we will reduce it down. If it goes from 1 to 0, then we will simply remove it. It still will stay here. Only at the end of the next day, then this guy would be removed. And then, yeah, we are definitely in deep trouble. And then it's already time to draw our first event card. Like I said, there are no event cards in this open and play guide. Everything is printed in here. And we have drawn a quest here. Speak with Kuanacht's blacksmith Erefrir. Hint: to meet Erefrir, you have to explore the Kuanacht farmhold location. Next thing, you would also move any guardians that are out here on the map. But right now there aren't any guardians. And yes, I have a full box of guardians and they look amazing. Really cool stuff. Actually, I cannot wait to see those kicking in. And obviously, I haven't painted those yet. I'm pretty sure they might look much nicer, but everyone who knows my painting skills, I think I'm better off with those gray dudes here. That was pretty much the start of the day. We are moving into during the day until everyone runs out of, what is it? I keep forgetting. Stamina, no energy. And yeah, players perform one action each in any order. And yes, obviously we are alone, so we can do whatever we would like to do. Everything in this open and play is staged, so there are no surprises whatsoever. Even the combat deck is staged. So I think I will not read this stuff here to you or show it to you. I think I will simply play it out for you, so it's boring enough if I have to read it, but maybe there is some surprise for you guys. Again, it's really nicely done, so don't get me wrong, you really get behind the game this way very nicely, but it's not a fun, let's say, narrative experience, even though we might still learn a couple of things about Beor and maybe, yeah, the world around him. The quest, quote unquote, already hinted it. So I need to explore our starting location here. Oops, and this guy fell out. This is really not so nicely done, actually. It fits in nice, but it drops out, so you have to be very careful. So we are at 7. And yeah, exploring this. And by the way, the artwork on these tiles is so incredibly detailed, and they can change, like in, what was it, 7 something, where you also can exchange some of those cards, and the landscape changes slightly. Of course, it's all nicely done, so you can really travel along this path. That's really, really gorgeous to look at. And yeah, I think let's simply explore this. Normally, this means we spend 1 energy, and this is what we're doing here too. But then we would usually also flip over this location here and then do what it says. But here again, we are not spoiling any of the experience for you. So we are not looking under the actual thing. There is in fact a section for this open and play guide in the huge, really huge exploration journal in here. So I will see what we'll find out. I think it's at the end of this whole book here. And here we are. A deep feeling of loss pervades Kuanacht, from dilapidated farms to the sunken eyes of those who remain in town. The menhir in the market is nearly extinguished. We just flipped it down. Still, this place is the only home you ever knew. Okay, now you're ready to choose. This is basically explaining stuff, and that's what you need to do. If you're here for the second time, no, we are here for the first time. Make your choice now. Speak with your master. Only if you don't have any part of the surprising errand status. Go to verse 1. No, we don't. Complete your mission. No, we cannot complete it yet. So we will basically read verse 1 now. So let's do that. Erefrir is up earlier than usual. As you enter, he hides a large pack behind a curtain and turns to you with a wide smile.
You hear that? Good. Hope you're ready to stretch your legs a bit. I hear a star fell near whitening, and a local tanner picked it up. It's a solid ingot, large as your dinghy hat. I'd rather not have it fall into the hands of some other smith. You nod. Falling stars are a bad omen for most simple folk, but they always excite blacksmiths and armorers. After all, the legendary Excalibur was forged from one of these cold shards of distant skies. Soon you depart, walking down the sloping fields toward the mist-covered forest with some rations, your trusty hammer, and a purse of silver Airfear gave you. Before stepping into the shadow of the trees, you take one last look back at the ancient statue towering above shacks and houses. How much longer can this tired old thing protect Kuanacht? Gain part 1 of the surprising errand status, so I will mark it down somewhere, and we will also gain 1 wealth, and the exploration ends. As we are already starting the game, or the setup, with 1 wealth, we are getting somewhat richer. We have 3 food, that's okay, you need usually 1 food per day. Pretty sure there are other occasions where you might need to spend food, donate it or whatever, share it with someone else. But yeah, we are getting richer and we are getting there. I really like that. As we have ended our very first exploration, we now should start moving and going to this whitening, I believe, right? This is where we find the meteor or whatever fell down. I think we want the ingot. And I think, again, yeah, I'm being told, but at least give me the feeling of making some decisions. We should now move up north, nudge nudge, to the Hunter's Grove up here. We can travel there because there is basically an arrow pointing there. There could be locations adjacent to each other, but there are no interconnecting arrows here. For example, in this case, you cannot move through. I think it could be that there is a river or a mountain or whatever, so you may have find a way basically around it. So we will yet again spend 1 energy to move up here to Hunter's Grove, where we can definitely find, yeah, some food actually. There's also a little bit of fluff here. In ages past, only the druids were allowed into the grove. For good reason, that is now forgotten. Okay, there is nothing immediate that will happen, so there are locations that have a little lightning symbol which will trigger automatically when you enter them. Again, there is no guardian which you would normally have to fight if you engage one there. In this case, again, it's back to us making a decision, and I guess we are going to do this location action here, gather food. So first of all, we will have to spend 2 more 1 and 2 energy. Here again we are getting pretty tired actually, so moving into the red is definitely something which will make you exhausted. It's written here, so you usually want to avoid that as far as I can tell at least. But we are also allowed taking 2 more food. I think that's really something. Again, this will make you live for at least 5 days or 5 nights in this case. And last but not least, we have to draw a green encounter, like it said on the location card. Again, in this introductory mission, we only have 1 of each colors here, so this is the only card that's available to us, and that's the mist-shaped vermin. I really like it. So basically it tells you really what is what. It's basically 1 copy out of the rules. You can call yourself a true adventurer until you have killed one. So yeah, let's do that actually. So we have an encounter value, so we need 4 red cubes in order, so these are wounds, let's put it like this. Combat pool goes in here, so everything that we defeat. Here we have the so-called attribute key, so this is what we can place our cards to. This, I think, when I read it, seems really nice, so maybe this I might really like it. Then we have this, I think it's the bonus key or standard key or so on the bottom. This will always connect, but not always is something. As an opportunity, we can run away. As a loot, we could get here additional food, but of course we can also take some more wounds here. But again, the game has taken care of us. Again, we have a staged combat deck here, and yeah, let's see what we get. And that's our starting hand here. So we have attack, we have reposition, and we have ignore pain. That's what you always do. You draw 3 cards at the start of each combat, or each character does that. I think there are some deviations depending on the player count, but for one player that's easily 3.
So the first card we are going to play, and this is what we are doing first. So we activate before our opponent. In this case, we will play our attack card. And we play it in a fashion like this, so that we are trying to make these junction points here. And we can only make connections for abilities which we are eligible for, or which we have covered. In this case, I think that is aggression. Let's look at our player screen here again. We have 2 aggression ETH. So I think that's definitely good. There are also symbols that have 2 of those symbols on it, which means you have to have at least 2, for example. In this case, we are totally allowed to connect those. We can play this card, don't get me wrong, but we can only connect it, basically, or call it connected in this way. And this is pretty easy. This one tells you when it's connected, we are placing 1 combat cube, so that's already 1. Fourth, we have the bottom, again, how it is called. It's the bonus? A bottom golden key, I don't know, also does connect. We get 1 more of those. Again, this is always allowed to play. So we are already halfway through our combat here. I mean, that's pretty decent. And last but not least, we have to check the actual text on this card. This one says, when the enemy attacks, he does 1 more damage. I think that's not a good thing. And the bottom one says, okay, that's a delayed ability. So we will place 1 of those time markers here on it, and we will take it away. And then usually we do that at the start of the next combat turn, for example. In this case, if this would still be showing, we would draw a card, which is never a bad thing. Normally, this would be the end of my activate steps, because I'm only allowed to play exactly 1 card. Unless I can basically make a connection that shows this kind of symbol, and Ignore Pain can do this. So I will play this card here like that. We make the connection. This ability only counts if I can make this connection. And yet again, let's check our courage. Yes, we do have 1 point of courage, which reminds me of that Manowar song, by the way. But yeah, we are allowed to make that connection here, which only allows us to play this second card. But this also means that this delayed ability goes out of the game, but we're also covering up the other ability here, which is a good thing actually, because we are not gaining extra hits. So in this case, if this card stays face up, basically when this monster activates, we would gain 1 extra wound for every point of damage I'm receiving. So that's a good thing. So that's definitely cool. And we also have this bonus golden key here. This gives a +1, which allows us to draw an extra card. And surprise, surprise, we have now drawn card number 4, but we will come to that. In theory, we could also activate or connect this magical key here, because we don't have any magic yet. We cannot make that connection. But see, we could play it, but we cannot legally connect it, which means it's there, but it doesn't do us anything. And the others are basically they do anything. But I think this special ability here is definitely cool. Normally next we would do a victory check here, but right now we only have 2 out of 4 points. We need to defeat this mist-shaped vermin, really not looking nice, out of a lab it seems. And I think then it's really time to activate our monster, or our opponent in this case. That's really simple. So basically we check this little table here, the combat table, and it tells you what needs to be done depending on the amount of cubes that are already out there. Right now we are at 0 to 2. Yes, we would gain a wound. Okay, we have to live with that. But keep in mind, for every point of wound we are getting, we are adding 1 extra cube here too. So it hurts itself pretty much. So I don't know, yeah, we are grabbing this sword here, blood is dripping. It's really gruesome. But we definitely just lost our very first point of health in this case. And this also works pretty nice. So there's this little barrier here, which means energy can never be higher than actual health, for example. Very nice. Next, we would discard down to 3 combat cards. We are down to 2. That's okay. And then we would draw pretty much 1 combat card, and then we would start our next turn. So let's see. After 2 comes 3. I think we already played 3, then 4, and after 4 we have 5. Obviously, Battle Cry. Okay, we can prevent 1 wound. I think that could be beneficial. And I guess it might be a good idea, nudge nudge, to play it right now. So we will play Battle Cry. We have other options. I think this is is something I could really like about this game. It feels a little bit puzzly in respect to what cards you play, what things comes out. It really, yeah, I don't know what to compare it to, but I really like these kind of combats where you have to really think your way through rather than simply rolling some dice, which can be fun too, though, don't get me wrong. So we have made this connection here. It doesn't really help us because it's our first card here, but the bonus ability here gives us one extra card to draw, which is throw, flip. Okay, we can throw our weapon or shield. That really feels very thematic too. And Battle Cry also prevents one wound we are getting. I mean, that's definitely a good thing. But I think we can end it right here and right now. We will play throw. Again, we can do that because it has the bonus here. So it allows us to play an extra card. And we have that ability, so we can make this connection here. And yeah, the bonus golden key allows us to add pretty much the 4th cube. How cool is that? We are not going to use this ability because we don't have any weapons right now or shields, but this brought us to the 4 points we needed to defeat this monster. And again, we are doing this victory check right now before our opponent gets to hit us back. And it's also something I kind of like in this game. You always have kind of the initiative. But yeah, that's pretty much it. We will gain one additional food, which I will put into our character bin here. We will put this card usually to the bottom of the respective deck. We don't have any real deck. We will put it like this. All our combat cards, and I mean really all of those, go back into the combat deck, and then we would shuffle this. I'm not quite sure if I'm going to do that right now or not. But that's something that you usually do. Maybe I will keep everything as it is. But as we are now pretty tired here, coming closer to the exhaust, it's now really time to end our day, which means we are going to do some steps here. So rest, we consume one food. So let's simply do that. We take one food we got out of the vermin thingy. Not quite sure if it's tasty or not. We get to restore our health point. I mean, that's pretty great. And we could lose one thing here. We don't have any of those. If you don't have enough food, drop down to 0. Restore all to full. If you're exhausted, restore 4 points. That's really terrible. That's what you really want to avoid. But in this case, we simply go back to 6 for the next day. In theory, we could also advance our character by spending experience points. We don't have any. We could modify our decks, taking out and in of cards like we used to, or like we want to do that. We are now in a location with a dream. So normally we would do a dream according to that location here. Of course, the special scenario has set us up. So we are reading the dream. In your dream, you return to the dark ravine deep in the grove. Like many others, you search for a little girl who went missing in Kuanakt. Instead, you find a mass of what look like tangled black snakes crawling across some moss-covered stone. The mass rises on countless black legs and rushes at you. For a split second, you see a horrific truth. What charges is a malformed, overgrown beating heart on countless legs of blackened veins and arteries. It opens its circular maw, full of lamprey-like teeth. Next moment, it's on top of you, ripping you into your side and trying desperately to push itself into your chest. With all your strength, you pull it away from the wound, throw it to the ground, hold it in place with your boot, and crush it with a swing from your hammer. Then you wake up, alone in the forest, shivering. The wound burns again. You ask the village priestess and herbalist. You tried many remedies and quaffle foul-smelling mixtures. Still the wound festers, turning black. You try to fall asleep, but your mind dwells on what fate awaits you and whether a thing like the one that killed you will emerge from your chest once you die. Okay, there is also a nightmare section, but we don't have a nightmare here. You get a nightmare when I think your terror is on the going insane level or so, I believe. Yeah, the red zone here it says. But we will definitely lose one energy and gain one terror. Right now that's okay, I guess, but when we're moving here we could panic later on, which is definitely also something which we don't want to do, panic in fights usually, or I believe even in diplomacy, I cannot quite remember. And then we are starting our next day. So again, we will reduce the menu. I think there are no other things that need to be done. Usually you should really go through that when you're especially new to that you're not missing out on stuff. But obviously we will read another event card now. And this one says, tired and in pain, you start the final leg of your journey. Hint.
Sometimes event cards have an additional impact on the game. Remember to apply any rules you find on them. Okay, this is basically only some fluff for us, but that's still okay. Next, I think we are supposed to enter the whitening. And now I'm actually noticed I forgot to reveal the proper cards when I moved up here. So usually what happens when you move up here, you check if the locations here have something to extend to and if those locations are adjacent to an active menu. In this case, he's active, and it also counts for diagonal. So yeah, obviously we do have the whitening. Oh, apologies for that. And here we have this location here. So the world got more beautiful, more dangerous. Apologies for that. I'm pretty sure I have left a comment during editing. And I think that's now the idea. So we will spend 1 energy. I will do that quickly off camera to move into this location now, the whitening. Once this place had another name and a busy market, today no one goes there. But here we have this little lightning symbol which says draw a blue encounter when you enter this location, which could be this one here. And here we have found a suspicious guard, which is now a diplomacy encounter in this case. It works, I think, relatively similar to combat, but right now we are really trying to make a leap here on the affinity track, and we will put a marker here. Start. This is our start marker here. Obviously, we don't want to end up on the red zone. We definitely want to move up to the green spot here, which it says here. If a marker is on top during the affinity check, basically like the victory check, you win. If it's on the bottom, you lose. Simple as that. And like with combat, we have our diplomacy deck here, and we will also start with 3 cards we are drawing. And yes, it's also staged. So here we have eye for detail, backtrack, and show off. Again, it's very similar. You try to make connections. In this case, every arrow that points upward is a good thing. Every arrow that points downward is a bad thing. So that's what we are trying to do here. And our first card to play is eye for detail. Again, we try to make connections here. So we check what we have here. For example, I believe this is the caution. We have 1 point of caution, which allows us to make this connection like in combat. This also connects automatically. Problem is, right now there aren't any benefits from that to reap, so that's definitely unfortunate. We can place a time marker here, or we have to place a time marker here. So when this stays upward, then we can basically draw a card during our next step. And in this case, we are triggering this symbol here, which is a varying bonus, as it says here. And yeah, and each bonus here gives you this. And in this case, it's very simple. Means we are moving this one up here. Again, every arrow you see upward, that's a good thing. That's what we want to see. In this case, that's already the end. So we are doing this here. We only have 1 stage here, which is a good thing. Normally we have to go to the bottom of this for various stages on these cards. Again, this only has 1 stage. Explain yourself. So this seems to be quite easy. But again, we have this response. So they were going back right to the starting position here, which, okay, is not great. We will discard down to 3 cards, then draw 1 diplomacy card, so like we are doing with combat. But it's really pretty much the same thing. So here we drew misdirection, might be able to use it, and then we are moving into the next round, which means we are triggering all the delayed abilities. In this case, that's this one here, and that's easy. We will draw yet another card, and in this case, we have a threatening voice. Sounds like Gandalf. Okay, and then we are basically, it's our turn again, so we are playing a card. I think the idea was, or the script tells me, to play misdirection in this case. Again, we can make this connection here, but it doesn't help us because it's our first card. We are allowed to do that. But the bonus down here is really pretty amazing because that's a ×2, which means we are moving this guy up 2 spaces here. That's definitely something. Then we will play yet another, playing Gandalf here, which allows us to do this. Again, we are allowed to play the second card because we are activating or connecting this key, which is always connected. So we get to play 1 extra card. We are not going to connect the magic one. Again, we don't have any magic, but we can look at this ability here, which says lose 1 reputation. Right now, we don't have any reputation, so that's fine. We cannot lose what we don't have. We can still play this card, but then we look if you have at least to aggression, which we do, we get our final thing up here, which is now on the top of this affinity track in this first stage here. Amazing. So we have successfully explained ourselves. I mean, that's good. We will get the reward here, which says we gain 1 reputation. I mean, right now I have no clue what I'm doing with reputation. Of course, the rules speak about that some of the encounters are different depending on what reputation you have. I could imagine that an encounter says if you have whatever 3 or more reputation, do this, or if you have only 1, do that, kind of that thing. But right now I really don't have a clue. Again, this goes back, this gets discarded. We will put our cards back or shuffle our cards back into our diplomacy deck. And as we are now at the whitening, I think we will explore the whitening by spending 1 more energy. The hole is here as always, gaping out the heart of whitening. The white lichen that gave this town its new name seems to grow out of it. It covers the walls of the nearby halls with a thick coat. Only close up one can discover it is in fact a layer of small, sparkling crystals, like sea salt on the wooden posts of a pier. As you inspect it, several people watch you suspiciously. You shrug your arms to show them you're not interested in their secrets. Go to verse 7. There's no love lost between Kuanakt and the whitening. You shouldn't stay here too long. Visit the village tanner, go to verse 9. Ask whiteners about their menhir. I think we want to do what we are being told to do, so we are going to verse 9, which is simply down here. You ask around about the tanner Aethir wanted you to find and draw some strange looks. Finally, someone tells you this man moved out several months ago. Angry and confused, you reach the tannery, only to find the building abandoned and covered in cobwebs. What's going on? Was this a cruel joke? Okay, we gain 1 terror. Oh, come on, you must be kidding me. And gain part 2 of the surprising errand status. Exploration ends. Okay, we basically gain this one. We will mark the second way. And then we pretty much, I'm sure, we are moving back to Kuanakt now. So with 1 point, we are moving down here, over here to the Hunter's Grove. There are no special symbols. We are currently close to exhaustion, but I think we will, what I've been told to, is to spend yet another energy to move back down to Kuanakt Farmhold again. And obviously we must not forget about our festering wound here. I think we dreamt about it, right? We will lose 1 health every time you become exhausted, which we just did. So we are losing 1 health. But right now that's still okay, I guess. But as we are about to end our little introductory journey here, I think we will spend our last energy right now. So we already have lost our health here anyway. We will explore this location here again and see what Aethir has to say to us. We now have the part 2 here. Complete your mission requires part 2 of the surprising errand status, so we will go to verse 2 in this case. You enter Kuanakt exhausted and in pain, yet even in this condition you quickly realize something happened in your absence. Many sad-eyed townsfolk walk the streets or argue in small groups. Startled, you look towards the menhir, but it seems fine, surrounded by ribbons flapping in the wind. There's no weirdness in Kuanakt, so what could draw all these people out of their houses? As you approach the forge, you almost stumble upon the boy who usually delivered Aethir's messages. They're gone, the boy tells you. They left at the break of the day. Aethir wants you to take care of his workshop. You stumble into the building, only to find it empty, save for a note lying on the workbench, held securely in place by a heavy ingot of star iron. Nice. 3 times you attempt to read the parchment, your eyes watering from helpless rage. It says, Aethir left Kuanakt without you, traveling with Lord Yvain, Fael, Obert and Niante. They head for Camelot, where they hope to find help for your town. You were deemed too weak for this journey. Not good enough. They will see about that. A silent rage grows within you. Gone are the exhaustion and the pain. You leave the forge and look to the east. Somewhere there, behind rolling mists, cloud of weirdness and dangerous trails, the Kuanakt champions journey on. You are sure you will find them. Each party member gains 1. That's basically me. 1 terror. And yeah, that's congratulations. You have finished the tutorial scenario. You will find Aethir's letter in the game box. Oh, that's when you really start playing the game. That's nice. So good that I didn't read it. It will prepare you for your first chapter of the Fall of Avalon campaign. Good luck in the bleak world of Tainted Grail. And yeah, that's pretty much how you play it, at least when it's scripted. I'm pretty sure
I'm facing my first real enemy in this game, in this world. Yeah, I have no clue, but yeah, I think that's what it's all about. You can actually die in this game, and there are two ways how to deal with that. First of all, you could simply die and start all over again. Or you could, I think, go for some favor of whatever, and then you, I think, yeah, it's been locked down in your campaign journey, and the game tells you, hey, if you're experiencing this over and over again, start all over again with an easier mode. I think for solo, there is not really a lot easier things to do. I think, yeah, in theory, you can do little tweakings for solo mode, but overall, it seems to be already pretty, not easy, but yeah, balanced out enough for you. Anyway, I still hope, or I hope you enjoy my little walkthrough here of Tainted Grail, the introductory mission. If you're interested seeing me play the campaign, again, I'm not quite sure if I really will ever play the full game here on camera, but maybe the first couple of whatever chapters or so. Let's see about that. Then let me know, and I will definitely consider it. Again, I'm really pumped. It seems fun, actually. I really quite enjoyed the ride, the short ride here. I think there's a lot to explore in this game and a lot to be done wrong. And I think that there are even some dice in this game, but not too many. And yeah, let me know. And I will consider your vote and your opinions, and maybe you can also tell me what character you want me to play. Maybe let's have a quick look at those. So you already know better, and then we have over here, we have, it doesn't really work this way, Ailey, I think, healing herb, so she's kind of a fairy or something like that. Looks pretty cool, interesting. Then we have Maggot, okay, meditation, so maybe it's something like, I don't know what this kind of characters are, not sure. And then we have RF, I think he's also kind of, no, he's a farmer actually. I think he's simply a farmer. They look all pretty impressive, but the rules really tell you those are all very simple people. Like Beor here, the smith. And then we have the bonus character here, which is Niam. Pretty casually clothes, but she has some reds over here. But she has, no, that's not a bow actually. No, these are some kind of daggers or so. Looks really nice actually. So let me know if first of all you want me to play the game, and then let me know with which character you want me to play this game. And again, I will count the votes. And if you don't want me to play the game, that's fine too. Then I will definitely play it on my own, whatever it is. A huge shout out to all of my patrons. Really appreciate your support. Like and subscribe. Hope to see you soon in one of my other videos. And yeah, until then, bye bye.